guys. So, here we are, week number 20 for Overwatch League Season 3. As you can see, we did already have some matches being played in the Asian region. We had Guangzhou taking down Seoul 3-2, very close one. London then took care of Chengdu 3-0. And then the Spark edged out the New York in an extremely tight competitive match 3-2. So, obviously, I didn't say beforehand what I had for these. I would have gone with Guangzhou, London, and New York. So I will give myself a 2-1 for that. I was a little surprised that I was definitely surprised Spark were able to upset New York. Was also surprised that Chengdu didn't even take a map off of London. I thought for sure that they would take at least a map. But here we are. Chengdu just they have troubles against London. It's 2 times now that they haven't really been able to do much against them. But anyway, the Spark New York match was super good. I would highly recommend going back and watching that. The Guangzhou Seoul one was pretty entertaining as well. Seoul almost completed a reverse sweep, but the charge shut them down on the tiebreaker, of course. But don't want to talk about those too much. We will get into the rest of the weekend because we have some great matches coming up. All right, San Francisco Shock taking on Paris Eternal. So we got New Look Paris taking on San Francisco. I'm going to go with the Shock here. Paris has showed too many weak points, too many, I guess you could just say growing pains that are going to happen when you're integrating a new player. They didn't look clean enough against Boston for me to have confidence against them, against a team like the Shock, our main melee champions in the NA region. So even though I think Paris keeps it pretty close, I think Sparkle's going to have some great moments. San Francisco is just a better team. They're stronger overall. Paris has had some issues, especially when they're running the double tank with the Nico and Sparkle in. They looked really uncomfortable on that comp, and they lost 2 maps to Boston running that. So I feel like San Francisco is definitely going to come out, at least in all the maps that aren't Control. They're going to be running that double shield, and I just don't think Paris measures up to them. So could Paris snag map 1? I think they definitely could. But I think after that, it's pretty much all San Francisco. I'm going to say that the Shock take it 3-1. Next, we got Atlanta Brain taking on Toronto Defiant. So, Atlanta definitely favored in this matchup. This is do or die for Atlanta. If they lose this, they will have essentially the same record as Toronto. They would be 5-7 to Toronto's 6-8. And for a team like Atlanta that has such high aspirations, that has such vocal players talking about how good they are, you're 5-6. You're getting smacked by all the good teams. Toronto is not a good team. They're not one of the upper tier teams, not even close. They're definitely in the bottom tier. So you got to win this one. You have to win this one. Their last couple of maps, I did like what I saw from the Defiant. There's been improvements for sure. We saw Numlocked in last time out. We'll see if he plays the maps again and we don't see any Beast. I thought he looked pretty solid. I think especially his Orisa is probably an upgrade over Beasts. So maybe their double shields will be looking a bit better. And if they have Surefour on the Ashe and Logic's on Tracer, they got a chance. I think Atlanta's still a better team. I am going to go with Atlanta 3-1 here. But Toronto, they got a shot. If you're the Defiant, now's the time. If you win this, all of a sudden you're very close to that play-in spot. You're essentially tied with the number 12 team. So important match for both teams. I am going to stick with the Reign here just because they've been good against the lower half of the league. They just can't beat the upper tier teams. Next, we got the Gladiators coming off a very nice victory against Atlanta last week, back to 500. They also made a huge pickup, grabbing Kevster from Team Doge, the NA Contenders champions from, was that, about a week ago? Team Doge just pretty much stomped their way through Contenders. They looked really impressive. I had some people saying that, though, they could beat a decent amount of the teams in the Overwatch League. So Kevster is a great player. I'm glad that he's getting his chance to be in the league. I think he's going to do great things for the Gladiators. I think he really fills in that DPS core. So now they have a very strong core of 4, so that Personally, I would just have him in on a couple of maps and have Mirror play a map or two less. Because Mirror has played really well in spurts, but his hero pool isn't amazing. So having Kevzer to kind of fill in a couple of those gaps, I think is going to make them an even deadlier team. So I'm going to take the Gladiators over Houston here. I'm going to say 3-1. Houston has a knack for having close games against the Gladiators in the past 2 seasons. So, like I said, I think we get a little bit of back and forth. Houston has been consistently improving. I don't think that they're a joke team at all. They just don't ever really have enough. They never win. They throw away a couple of fights. They just get outplayed a little bit here and there, and that always is the difference between winning and losing matches. So, in a pretty close one, I'm going to take the Gladiators 3-1. Then we got Dallas desperately searching for a win. They have lost quite a bit in a row. They're down to 4-7, taking on Vancouver, who's 2-7. They still have not won with their new roster. 0-5 with this team. Have there been upgrades? Yes. Shockwave has performed pretty well coming in. Dalton has had his good moments. He's also had some throws. I still believe that Vancouver has good players. I still think that this can be a solid team. I think they're starting to get there, but as we saw, they lost to Toronto 3-0 after having a very close match with them in the May Melee. So, not a wonderful sign. Dallas did also have a new addition. The other day, they picked up Onigod, who is a long time contenders player. It's super cool to see him get a chance to perform in the Overwatch League as well. He is a DPS, so we'll see if he gets playtime early or like how much playtime he gets, because it's been all Doa and Decay for DPS for Dallas. So we'll see if he's kind of like a specialist that comes in a certain type of map or what. But either way, I'm gonna go with the Fuel here. They've been solid. They've been putting up good fights against all of the best teams, and when Vancouver goes up against the best teams, it's brutal. It's 0-3. So I think Dallas is definitely the better team here. They desperately need a win. Like I said, they're kind of like Toronto. A couple of wins in a row, and they're right up there with the number 12 spot to get into that play-in. But they got to start winning, and I think they do get this one done. I'll say 3-0. I think Dallas clamps them up pretty quickly. Next, we got the Guangzhou-Hangzhou match. You'll love to see it. Ton of 3-2s between these two teams, and honestly, the Spark looked really good. Having their new off tank in QOQ. I don't know how you'd ever pronounce that. So I'm just gonna say QOQ. And they also had Mika in for IDK on some of the maps, so that was interesting to see. But they performed really well. Obviously with Architect now in the lineup besides Godsby, that is an incredibly potent DPS duo. The Charge, though, Eileen and Happy looked really good last time out as well against the Dynasty. So this is a close one. I'm actually going to go for a bit of an upset here. I'm going to go with the Spark, 3-2. I really liked what I saw from them on the control maps. I think they have a really good read for what metas to play on the control maps. And like I said, Architect Godsby is just, man, I honestly like that DPS duo a little bit more than Happy Eileen, to be perfectly honest. So I think this is very back and forth. I think these are two very close teams. I think Guangzhou is a bit of a better team, but the Spark just they do well in close matches. They do well against the Charge. And like I said, I just favor them a bit on the control maps. I think they'll take both of those, and then they'll be able to snag one of the other maps. So in the end, very close, entertaining one in my eyes, but I'm going to go with the Spark. Then we got Chengdu coming off a disappointing 0-3, taking on Shanghai. I'm going to go with the 3-0 for Shanghai. Chengdu has beaten Shanghai before. They're one of the two teams that's beaten them. But I just can't go with Chengdu. I mean, up to 11 losses, just not consistent enough to I feel like the tank line and then the supports just aren't ever really synced up that much. They've never really been too locked in or comfortable as a team, it seems, this season. After having a pretty successful season last year. It's just been kind of rough, and I don't see that getting better against a Shanghai team that is just stacked from top to bottom. I think they just take care of business here. Then we got London coming off a nice victory, taking on New York, coming off a heartbreaking defeat. Had a bit of a Charlie Niner in their matchup against the Spark to lose it, so that was unfortunate. Um, I mean, still, New York, way better team. You know, they're so stacked. I think London puts up a bit of a fight. I'll say that they snag a map because I have liked a lot of the things I've been seeing from London. But in the end, New York takes this one 3-1. I mean, Haxall, Sabiolbi, Nene's been pretty good, particularly on that tracer. So I think they got a lot of looks to throw at people. I don't think we'll see much of Libero for a little bit. He might be more of like Echo specialist at this point because it seems at least like early on that they favor Haxall on like the Mei and the Genji, that type of hero. So we'll see. We'll see if we get a sighting of him. But you know, New York, they're still so stacked. We'll see if there's a lot of Roadhog in this matchup because both of these teams have like to use a bit of Roadhog, particularly the XL. So I think that'll be cool to see if we can get some more Hog. Always a fun hero to watch. But in the end, I got New York as just the better team. All right, Boston Uprising, Philly Fusion. So Boston, you know, they keep improving. I think that they could keep this one closer than people think. We'll see if Philly trots out a bit of a meme lineup again. You know, we'll see, could Chipsa play 2 maps all season? Probably not. I mean, I think everyone's got to be looking at Boston right now and giving them some respect because they've nearly beat Paris twice in a row. They did beat Gladiators before that, and it seems like it seems like a competent team for sure, like a solid team. Their record disagrees, but their last like 4 matches, they've been way more competitive. So that being said, Philly still wins this for sure. Boston, I think they're going to keep a couple of the maps close, but I don't think they win a map. So I think it's a 3-0, but it's not super lopsided. I think the only teams that Philly could like throw in Chipsa and some of the other guys that just don't play in, you could throw them against Vancouver again and Washington. I would say those are the only 2 teams though that you could even like think about fielding that kind of lineup against. But like I said, in the end, I think Philly takes them seriously. They take them out 3-0, even though there'll be some bright spots here and there for Boston. I think in particular, Color Hex has really stepped up his game this season. I've been very impressed with him lately. Never really known for his tracer too much, but he's been performing well on it. And of course, you got guys like Fusions and Jerry who are very solid as well. But like I said, in the end here, Philly, they know how to win in the regular season. They know how to get these wins. So they will go ahead and move to 15-1. Then Valiant versus Florida Mayhem. Underrated, really good matchup right here. I think we see back and forth. I like Florida a bit more, but the Valiant are coming. I think this is a really good test for them. You know, a lot of people have been putting them around like top 4 in NA. I think that's a fair thing to do. You know, they beat Paris last in the May Melee, and they did lose to San Francisco, who's the number 1 team. So going up against, most people say, is the number 2 or the number 3 team in Florida. So I think we get a super entertaining match here. You know, Shax versus Yaki on the Tracer. 2 of the best Tracers in the league. That's going to be super fun. I am very pumped up for this match. Definitely the highlight of the Sunday matches. In the end, like I said, I'm going to go with Florida. I think that they're just a little bit better right now. But don't be surprised if the Valiant make this very close. In the end, I think I'll go with a 3-1 in favor of Florida. But like I said, don't discount this Valiant team. They've proven me and a lot of other people, because it's a very popular pick to have them in the bottom 3, the bottom 5, definitely. Sometimes in the bottom like 2 of the league coming into this year, and they have proven that they are a middle tier team at worst. You know, if they beat Florida here, they're an upper tier team for sure. So Valiant fans, you know, congrats, you got a very solid team. But like I said, Mayhem a little bit better right now. And I'll go with them in a close one. Next, it's Washington versus San Francisco. 3-0. Washington, yeah. Washington is now in the Boston category of like a month ago of I refuse to even really talk about them until they actually play okay. Boston's been playing solid now, so I can talk about them again. But there's nothing really good to say about Washington. Sometimes Stitch makes good plays. And that's it. So San Francisco wins that easily. So those are the predictions for the weekend. Again, sorry about missing the first three. Also, I'll put spoilers at the title in case you didn't watch and want to watch those. But other than that, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Any big upsets brewing here? I didn't pick any big ones this week. I feel like the matches are either like really close or there is a pretty high skill discrepancy. So we'll see how it pans out. We'll see if we get a lot of 3-0s again this week. But otherwise, I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you so very much for watching. I hope you have yourselves a wonderful weekend. And then I'll see you in the next one.